Hey everybody! Welcome back to Takeaway Tip Tuesday. I am your host, Ramona Remisat. I'm an intuitive guidance coach, speaker, and co-author of 2 Amazon bestsellers, 365 Days of Angel Prayers, and 365 Ways to Connect with Your Soul. And I'm very excited today to have my special expert guest on, Carell Mehl. So welcome, Carell.
Thanks, Ramona. It's really great to be here.
I see we already have some people joining in. Awesome. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Sylvie. So nice to see you here. As you're coming on, feel free to introduce yourself. Let us know your name, where you're watching from. And obviously today we are going to be talking about totem animals, which is very exciting because I was saying before, I've always had an interest in that subject, but I'm certainly no expert, so I've brought in the expert help because if people start asking me questions, I know I'm not going to be the one to answer them all. We'll get into it. You'll have an opportunity to ask a specific question, but also to learn as well as we go. So I just want to give you a little bit more background on Carell here. She started out much like I did in the corporate world, although from an accounting background, myself from PR, but we soon realized that it wasn't really what our heart's desire really was, to putting it nicely.
That's right.
In fact, just feeling that unfulfilled feeling, right? I can't do this anymore. And so with that, Carell decided that she needed to really get more in touch with what it is that her purpose was, which was about healing people or helping people to heal. And first beginning her own journey with that. So she took a course in Reiki, and from there became a Yusui Tibetan Reiki master and teacher. That's how I met Carell. She's my teacher. And has been a member of the board of the Canadian Reiki Association. She was on that board for 8 years and then continued to expand her knowledge and took a turn towards shamanism. And she actually became a shamanic practitioner and teacher through the Institute of Shamanic Medicine. And also worked with Dr. Terry Willard here in Calgary at the Wild Rose Holistic Clinic, the College of Natural Medicine. So she got a wealth of knowledge from that experience. And soon after that, she moved her practice to her own practice and not working for others anymore. And co-authored a book with Jennifer Ingracio called Women's Power Stories, Honoring the Feminine Principle of Life. So if you haven't seen that book, is that on Amazon?
No, it's not in print yet, but we're planning to put that in print in the fall.
Excellent, excellent. So you can get in touch with Carell and learn more about when that book's coming out. So from all of this growth and all of this life experience, she has now developed an awesome signature program. It's called the Assertiveness Mastery Program. And that really helps people to learn how to hold their own in challenging situations with challenging colleagues, superiors, personal relationships. We've all been there. I could have used you when I was in the corporate world. Oh my God. So yeah.
I could have used myself.
Yeah. And through our challenges is how we learn to help others, right?
Yeah.
So really she has learned all of this and taken that vast knowledge to help other people find their path to self-discovery and healing. So welcome, Carell.
Thanks, Ramona. Thank you for having me today.
So awesome. We have some people coming in. This is fantastic. It's way better when you have people on live than talking to dead air, right?
Yes, that's exciting.
So I'm going to start. I have a couple of questions that I want to start because these are kind of typical ones that people ask, right?
Right.
And so can you explain a little bit more about what exactly is a totem animal? What does that mean?
Well, it's really the essence of that animal. So a totem animal can be, there's different things that can be totems. It could be objects too.
Okay.
A natural object from nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a totem animal is the spirit of that animal.
Right.
And really it's about us entering into the essential part of that animal and how the spiritual realm is manifesting in our life. So we might come across an animal and we go, oh, that's a nice animal. But if we start to continue to see that animal all the time and it's showing up in our dreams and in different ways, there's a message there.
Right.
it's trying to connect us to nature.
Right.
Yeah.
Very timely, because I know that myself and many people watching here have had that recently. For a while it was moose. Moose were showing up for me everywhere. Then we actually had a mama and a baby in our community. And then I was seeing it in like artwork and all these different things. Now it's been the raven or crow. I was joking, we were in radium and they were everywhere and they were really calling one day. And I said, send me a feather. Give me a feather. And then next day I went for my walk and we found 2 feathers. Nice. And then I came home, and the day I came home there was one on my front lawn. So, you know, these Beautiful. Kinds of things, right? And so I know often people will wonder, and I actually had a person on Facebook today who typed in, there was a bobcat that just walked through my yard. I'm like, well, you better get on my training today to find out what that means. So I'm glad that you shared that, yeah, if you see, now does it have to be repetitive, or is that how you know there's a message?
Well, sometimes not. Sometimes it could be a brief entering in. But
right.
if you're trying to figure out, is that my power animal, or is that an animal I need to work with over a long term, there might be more investigation into what that is for
right.
you. Because like anything, it's either, you know, there's a moment of a message, or it's something that you want to have in your life to help guide and give you information.
Right.
So there's different ways of acquiring an animal, a totem animal. And you had mentioned there's power animals.
Yeah.
Just different types of animals. And within your own intuition and exploring with what that animal is, that's what you want to discern is what's the message there for you to work with that animal. And you want to find out what the essence of that animal is about. Like if it's a bear, then you want to find out all about what that bear does.
Right.
Because there might be something in your life that you need. So
right.
there's a particular medicine or energy that you're getting from the essence of the spirit of that animal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that about, you know, there's different kinds of animal totems. So you have a power animal, you might have a healing animal. Mm-hmm. Can you go a little bit more into that and how people might be able to discern that, or can they discern that on their own? Or do they need to come and see somebody like you who is a shamanic practitioner and teacher to kind of explain it to them?
Now, there's a little bit of explaining to do if you're really new to it. Of course, there's lots of information that you can read up on.
Right.
You could be having reoccurring dreams about a particular animal.
Right.
Your power animal is one animal that will be with you. There's usually 1 or 2 that'll stay with you
right.
throughout your life, and others will come and go.
Gotcha.
Right.
Right.
My favorites that I personally work with every day.
Yeah.
It's probably my center power animal, of course. I have a birth animal, but the 2 favorites of mine are my warrior animal and my healer animal.
Right.
They kind of got me on both sides. So when, you know, I use the essence of that animal to help me do many things. So why I know those are important, because those particular animals, especially the bear, is something I feared as a young person.
Right.
Always afraid of that bear. But I realized that the power within that bear is something that I have to grow into. So the fear, if there's a fear about an animal
right.
or an insect or anything, there is something powerful for you to learn about yourself.
Ooh, that's interesting, because growing up I had reoccurring nightmares about a bear, and I would just wait, and I remember in my dream I'd just be like, the bear is coming, and I'd be running around the house hiding, and I would always hide in this one closet that we had, and I could tell it was coming, and then it would rip open the door and it would be standing there like the teeth bared, and I'd be like, ah, and then I would wake up. But I would be so shaken by this dream that I honestly couldn't fall back to sleep, and it would come and come and come, and then after a time it just stopped coming. So would you say that would be an animal still that I should be working with, or did I just need it at that specific time in my life, even though I might not have understood what its message was?
You could always go back to that and explore it some more.
Right.
Especially intuitively go inside and say, you know, I still have fear over bears.
Yeah.
Like if I met a bear in the woods, what would I do?
I would. I know they say don't run. I actually had an encounter running in Montana, and I was going through this area that was quite, you know, it wasn't like remote, and I was turning around and coming back from my run, and all of a sudden this black thing, you know, about 20 feet up the road came out of the woods, and I'm like, oh, it's a black cat. And then in slow motion, my brain was going, that's not a cat. And I know they say don't run, but literally my body just took over, and there was a road right there that went in this direction, and I just beelined it up that road, and yeah, just to get out of its line of sight. So I was terrified when I saw that bear. I mean, it scared me. So yeah, definitely. Okay, I'm gonna have some homework to do after this today.
Yes. And it might show up in dreams.
Right.
And if that animal in your dream actually bites you or attacks you in some way, there's some medicine for you that it's giving you to help you in your life.
Interesting. That's good. And I know a lot of people have like a phobia of an animal, like they don't really understand where that came from. You know, a lot of people are terrified of snakes and things like that. Yeah. So it'd be worthwhile for them now to explore a little bit more about that, and you know, what might that meaning be, and stuff. Now you have a great resource. We're talking about exploring further, and some people are like, well, great, but how do I do that? So one of the resource materials I recommend, Carell also recommends, can I show this here on screen? This is an amazing book. It's by Ted Andrews. It's called Animal Speak. And it's very in-depth. You can see it's kind of thick, but it really goes into, covers mammals, it covers insects, amphibians, birds, like it really, all the sort of different animals, because a totem animal doesn't just have to be a mammal. It could be like an insect, or it could be a bird of some kind, right? So this really goes into detail on all of that. So I know for myself, if I have an animal that crosses my path, or it does show up repeatedly, I'm pulling out this book pretty quick to go in there and go, what's the message? What's the message? And it's very detailed, so you can really go into a lot of it, and then take that bit that's in here and explore, branch off from that even more. You know, and really go into depth with that. So I just wanted to share that with everybody. So, so that's really cool. So in terms of being able to discern or tell what specific message this animal is trying to share with us, that would be the way to kind of do it. Like to go to a resource book like that, or go on the internet and look it up and find out information. And maybe even also to just, like you said, intuitively sit with that and say, well, what is this? What do I feel like this is bringing to me? Yes. You know, especially if you have had an association with that animal or a fear of that animal. So those are some ways that you can tap into what that, you know, what that meaning or message might be. Awesome. So I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying this. Give me some thumbs up, give us some hearts, let us know how this is helping. And if you have a specific question about totem animals, or maybe an animal that's crossed your path, feel free to type that in. And Carell will do her best to answer that. Now, does everybody have a totem animal? This is also what I was always curious to know.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. If you want to tap into connecting with the spiritual realm,
right?
Nature is the best way to do that.
Right.
And that's going to take you deeper. So the other thing is, too, about the imagination pathway as an energy pathway that helps us understand and hear the messages that animal or object, whatever it is in nature, to help us understand, right? So you can do those things in other ways, like through a drum journey or rattles. I prefer using a drum to go on a drum journey if you really want to find out what your center power animal is.
Yeah, that's what you did with us, and it was so powerful. So powerful. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Okay, I've got some questions popping up here, and I missed one. Okay. I've been seeing a cardinal in my yard almost daily. I'm kind of dismissing if it has a nest nearby, but I probably shouldn't be dismissing, right? So, yeah, because sometimes people go, oh, yeah, I saw that animal. Well, you know, same thing here. I have a yard full of crows and magpies. So I might think, well, they're there all the time. You know, that's not a message. But do you have anything that you want to share about like that? So yeah, even if you see them and they're there normally, that can still be a message.
Yeah, it's bringing your attention to it. It's kind of like when people see sequences of numbers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a message for that particular totem. And when I do my morning walks, I am really paying attention to my environment.
Yeah.
And what is coming into my space. Is there something that animal has to share?
Right.
Now, that's what you have to discern for yourself. It doesn't mean every single animal is there for you for a message.
Right.
That's why you have to go inside of yourself to see if that message really is for you.
And I think if you instinctively or intuitively have a knowingness like, now I'm seeing this more and more, maybe that's a message. That's probably a sign that there's a message, right?
Yeah. And you'll be surprised. Like once you delve into it, it's like, that's what's happening in my life right now.
Yeah.
That's what I'm working with. So when you study that animal to see the mannerisms, how they live, how they typically protect themselves,
right,
how they do their life, that's what you want to look at.
Okay. Very cool. I'm just going back here, guys. I'm scrolling through because I didn't want to miss any of your comments. Mary, we always see a little bunny on the nature trail near us. So then that's something you probably want to look into and see what does that bunny message mean. And same thing here. We have the hares everywhere around my house. But definitely worth looking up and seeing what that message about bunnies might be, right?
Yeah.
And Mary's also saying she has a phobia of snakes. So interesting, because you probably never had a bad experience with a snake per se. Maybe you did. I don't want to put words in your mouth. But, you know, that fear, we do kind of carry some of that, I think, from our DNA, right? When times when that was a danger and people had to be afraid. But would certainly be worth exploring as well. What does a snake represent to you? What does that mean? And why do you fear that? And just kind of doing some introspective work, back and forth, questioning, like interviewing yourself, kind of.
Yeah, posing those questions, like what does this mean, and then what does it feel to me? And I keep seeing pictures of it, or dreaming of it, or it keeps crossing my path.
Right.
There's a message there.
Right.
Yeah.
I always find when snake comes up, it reminds me of growth, because I always usually see the shed
of the skin.
Right. And in order for a snake to grow, it must shed that skin. So that's what it sort of represents to me when it comes up, but that might be a different thing for each person. So think about what, does that signify to you? What is it about a snake that makes you feel scared and things like that?
And you can ask that particular totem if there's a message for you. That's what you want to ask it.
Oh, okay. So
you
literally
can
bunny or whatever is crossing my path, do you have a message for me? And just sit and see what might pop up.
Right. The typical description of what that totem may be about doesn't always necessarily, it'll fit somewhat,
right?
But if there's something specific for you, you need to ask what that is, that the message of that bunny has, or the snake,
right?
The bear,
right. Yeah, similar to when people work with angel cards, I say, don't listen or don't run right away to the guidebook.
Correct.
Right? You want to sit and go, what's popping out at this card? And is there a color? Is there a word? What does that mean to me? Really going within your own self to kind of pull out what intuitive messages there are. And then, yes, check the guidebook against that.
Yeah.
Right? But so you're saying the same kind of thing. Like, you can go to the resource material and see what the bear means, but you want to really take that time to sit your own self with that and do those same self-inquiry type of questions.
Correct.
To get some more insights.
And it really... I think there's an important piece here about people connecting with their spiritual self, like their soul self. There's something there that may be missing in your life that you want to now pay attention to.
Right.
So somehow, spirit, your consciousness, whatever that is trying to get your attention to listen to what your spirit is asking and getting more connected that way. Right.
Interesting. Okay, I'm just going to scroll back through here, guys, and see. I think there were some maybe other questions. Joanne, I think you had a question and it scrolled away and I don't see it. So would you mind reposting that if you could? I don't know why I can't see all these in real time right here, right now. But I'm not seeing some of the earlier ones. So if we missed you, go back and put it in. Thank you. Sorry, we're not techno pros here, okay, guys? You know me.
I'm always with spirit.
It's the opposite. Technophobe. Maybe I need to explore what that phobia is about, right? Because I saw that Joanne had a question. So what else was I just gonna... So you were saying, we have a power animal, we have a healing animal. You said a birth animal. Can you explain what that is? That's interesting to me.
There's another really great book and great resource, Sun Bear Astrology.
Okay.
So that'll give you a lot more information about the medicine wheel and more shamanic practices.
Right.
But his format that he has in relationship to astrology, so like if you're a Taurus, for
Right.
instance, your birth animal, my birth animal is the beaver.
Yeah.
So you also have that birth animal. So that's something else that you can read about and work with. It's one of the first books that I worked with years ago that I just love.
And what is it called again?
Sun Bear.
Sun Bear. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to have to add that to my reading list.
Yeah.
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 I'm totally into astrology too, so that would be right up my alley.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Sun Bear astrology. Yes.
Okay, cool. So Joanne is saying a white cat appeared on her doorstep on Monday. I've never seen this cat before. Oh, kitty. And that, cats, dogs, even if it's a regular animal, can still bring messages. So it'd be worthwhile, looking up cat, right?
Yeah, looking up cat.
Seeing what that's all about.
And then if it's a cat, then going to more of the non-domesticated animals.
Right.
There might be more about tiger or lion.
Right.
Jaguar, that kind of thing.
Bobcat, et cetera, et cetera. Cool.
Yeah, cat medicine.
Very cool. What else do we have? Oh, Mandy's a fear of spiders and other creepy crawlies, and has also had an interest in dolphins and whales. So that is cool. The water always is symbolic kind of intuition, right? Of your inner self. So
and creative.
And creation, exactly. So any of those water...
That's what spider is, too.
Yes.
So it's interesting they
intertwine.
Right.
And Mandy is an artist, so this totally makes sense.
Wow, that's great.
Because spider is about creation, the web, and it often comes up for writers too. And I know for myself, if I have a big piece to do or a really big writing project, I will often start seeing spiders all over the place. So definitely that might be calling for you to explore really this creative side more, or maybe there's something else that you need to create, Mandy. So it'd be totally worth looking up dolphins, whales, all those animals, and how they kind of, is there a common thread, quote unquote, spider thread that weaves them all together, that, there might be a bigger underlying message there for you. I think that's cool. Joanne's got her bunny at her house too. I think we all have the rabbits, the bunnies. It doesn't matter what side of the country you're living on, they're there. And maybe we'll just take a minute, since everybody's seeing rabbit. I'm going to borrow your book here, Carell, for a second. Just to give you guys an example of, some of the information that you can expect if you do pick up this book, or a similar, but this one just goes into so much detail on...
one of my favorites, for
Where's
sure,
the mammals? They're at the back, right? There's bison.
It's in alphabetical order.
Yeah, here we go. We're getting closer. I was at the beginning earlier. Panther. Rabbit. Where's it? Oh, we have hare and rabbit.
Yeah.
So really,
fertility and new life.
Fertility and new life. Think about that. So in Greek mythology, it's saying it was associated with the goddess Hecate. I just want to scan here. Where are we here? So the rabbit is known for its ability to procreate, which we know because we have a lot of them out here. Its fleetness, its ability to make great leaps and hops. It moves primarily by hops and leaps. And individuals with this totem find that their endeavors do so as well. So you may be taking things in hops and leaps instead of having that consistency. It's like you get so far and then it kind of stalls and then you hop a little bit more.
Yeah.
And so it's saying, what else do we have about this? Because mice is one of its prey, rabbits and mice are two most common prey animals. And so you often want to look at the animals that are higher on the food chain, right? And the other way around. So let's say you're a lion, and think about what lions eat, and you may want to look up those animals as well, because often those messages are all interconnected, right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to scan here.
Oh, they're vegetarians.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that interesting? I just decided to be vegetarian a month ago, and I have a rabbit in my flower bed every day.
There you go.
He tells me little messages.
So it says, if you're seeing that rabbit a lot, those with this totem may need to examine the kinds of foods being consumed. Okay? And for greatest health and healing, a vegetarian diet, even if temporary, it says, will strengthen and heal. So there you go. Maybe that's a sign too that you need to make some changes to your diet for a time. Not necessarily forever, but for a time. And it's saying that rabbit can also show you how to recognize the signs around you, because they're very, they're very in tune with their surroundings. And it says, especially as far as tuning into the lunar cycle. So if you have rabbit around you, you want to pay attention to when there's full moons, when there's new moons, even when there's half moons, and going and being able to work with those moon cycles. And I have done some trainings on that in the past, or some blog posts on that, on how you can work. And we're at the full moon. How timely is this right now?
That's very
Full
important.
moon is about releasing. So thinking of anything that doesn't serve you, how you can get rid of that, whether it's a person, a situation, material objects, or emotions that aren't serving you that you want to let go of. You want to release those at the full moon. So that's just there's literally like a few pages in this book, per animal, and we're not really going into great depth on all of them. But,
and I just want to mention about rabbit too. It can be about fears, and also it signifies family too.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I found it interesting there. It's saying that rabbits are clever at doubling back and making quick and rapid turns, so they can shift gears really fast. So that's another thing that you may want to be tapping into. If something isn't going the way you want it to, like being able to shift out of that instead of doing the same old, and kind of getting the same result, which we sometimes fall into that trap, right?
Correct.
So there's lots of information, as I said, in these resource materials. About all these different kinds of animals, insects, etc., etc. Anybody else have? I think I've covered all these. I'm just going to scroll down again. I'm not sure if anybody else has questions. Why don't we just take a look? I just want to see in here about some of those aquatic animals that came up, because so many people are really drawn to them. The dolphins,
the dolphin, and the orca.
Yeah, good idea. Okay, oops.
Orcas went on my wheel. So we have a medicine wheel of animals we work with in shamanism. And so the orca is my shadow animal that I work with.
Can you explain that? What a shadow animal is all about?
So we're all trying to evolve and work on our personality. So in Reiki, the teachings are about developing your personality development. In shamanism, that's what we're doing all the time, is evolving.
Right.
So the shadow animal on that wheel helps me go on a drum journey with that animal, or use that animal to address aspects of the shadow part of myself.
Oh, cool. And that would be like just to give a better explanation of, or another alternate explanation of shadow parts. So we have, would it be like a fault is kind of our shadow?
It could be like where our ego has gone into a negative place.
Right.
Which is normal with life, because you're trying to survive.
Right.
So, but we know we want to ascend that or release that using that totem animal for me helps me go on a journey to find what those pieces are.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so I'm looking at the whale or the orca, and
here we go.
Here he is. So let's quickly scan through. Did you know there are 90 or so different species of whales? Wow, including dolphins and porpoises. So you also want to look at specific species sometimes, because some people are drawn to a specific, like owl. Owl might come up. Well, there's lots of different kinds of owls, and depending on the species will have different meanings as well. And then we have, there's toothed whales and whales with the baleen. I'm just scanning here. Oh, interesting. So whales, because they have that echolocation, right? They use that sonar.
The sonar, yes.
And so they're saying this sensitivity to sound links the whale to the primal creative sounds of life. So sound as a creative force of life. So really using that to tap into those hidden levels of your mind, and really listening, like paying attention to sounds and things like that. So be listening to your clairaudience, what guidance is coming to you through things that you're hearing. Whale people are very creative. Look at that, Mandy, right? They breach out of the water.
Yeah.
They have to come out of those creative waters. And so they're saying those people, even though they're creative, have to come back out of the water and must stay in contact with the real world. Sometimes you can get lost in your own creativity or imagination, is what it's saying. And so are you not taking that to your out? Are you spending too much time almost introverted in that and not getting out in the real world? So that's an interesting aspect for you to consider there, Mandy. And are you keeping everything inside is also something to examine. Are you afraid to let things out? And if so, it's time to breach. It's saying it's time to breach out of that water. Show the magnificence and power of your own creativity. Do not hold back. Ooh, I'm getting shivers just thinking about that. It's saying if whales are showing up in your life, you should examine or use your own creativity and make sure that you are doing it in new and dynamic ways and applying that creativity as well to old processes and life formulas. So like I was saying, you tend to get bogged down into doing the same old. So they're saying here, maybe when whales showing up, you need to look at a new creative way of approaching something instead of doing it the same way. Remember, the whale was a gift to the Great Spirit to the Inuit people. And it's what allowed them to survive. So really, looking at that as a gift and honoring it as a gift is important too. So lots of cool messages here. Oh, Jane's here. Wild birds are very significant to me, but just lately, seems to me that this is reflecting my need for freedom to take wing and not be caged in of others' view of me. Very important. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
So yeah, if you're picking that up, again, don't just listen to what the book says or what the internet says or what Carell says or what somebody else says, right? So if that's speaking to you, definitely. And also what I know is birds are an angel sign. So if you tend to see birds all of a sudden in a strange situation or in strange numbers that you wouldn't expect to see, that can be a sign. It can be a way of acknowledging that, maybe you've been questioning something and you're like, is this really guidance? I don't know. And then you see these birds, then that's kind of a sign like, yes, you're on the right track. It can be confirmation or validation for something that you've been wondering about. They can also be visits from our deceased loved ones. Like I often know that people have told me stories of after somebody has passed, this bird started to show up at their house, and it's sitting right there looking in the window at them, that kind of thing, right? And they kind of had this intuitive idea that that's so-and-so. So I say, if you're picking that up, then don't second guess that. Don't question that. It's definitely likely that person is coming to say hi and just checking in and letting you know that they're there and they're still around you and they see everything that's going on in your life. Because I think one of the hardest parts is when we lose somebody important to us, we feel like they're missing out. Right? They're not seeing this. They're not seeing the kids grow up. They're not seeing whatever. And Jane, I know for you, you've had a loss. So thinking about that and just, see if that resonates with you at all. But that can be another meaning for when we see birds showing up. So but I love that. Yeah. The need for freedom, definitely take wing and not hold back anymore and fly, soar, open those wings, right?
Yeah. Birds. Birds are symbols of the soul. Rising to new awareness.
Ooh, I like that. Wow, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Really, really nice. I'm just flipping over to dolphin too, because we were kind of on that same whale dolphin. If dolphin has shown up as your totem, ask yourself some important questions. What are your words and thoughts creating for you? If you're not sure, dolphin will help you discover that very soon. And again, are you getting outside and enjoying fresh air? Maybe you're too insulated. The same idea of the whale breaching, needing to get out of the water. Are you holding intentions? Are others around you? You need to have a healthy way of dealing with feelings. I know, Mandy, there's been a lot going on for you guys. So this is an opportunity to explore and maybe dig a little bit deeper on how you are coping with things, managing with things. Do you have a healthy outlet for your feelings, or are you stuffing them in? Because that will create dis-ease within you that left unchecked can then manifest as disease, right?
Yes.
You don't want to get to that point.
No.
So it's saying when dolphin is showing up, or you're drawn to all of a sudden dolphins and things like that, it's time to breathe some new life into yourself. Get out, play, explore, and most of all, breathe. That's the message for dolphin. Or there's more to it, but that's kind of it in a nutshell. So I hope that helps. Anybody else have questions, comments? Guys, is this helpful? Give me some thumbs up. I want to see the hearts. Send those hearts on. I want to see them. What else got mentioned here today? We had rabbit, we had birds, we had bear. Oh, bear for me. Yeah, I have my homework to do. Spiders. That's what it was. Spiders.
Yes, the insects
because
are in the front.
Thank you. I think I'd know better by now how this book works, but
I love spider.
And I have so many spiders. I was joking at the beginning of the year when spring came that my house looked like the House of Horrors because we have so many spiders out here. The webs were just everywhere. But, it's when they start really showing up like literally right in front of your face. Right in front of you. That's like, oh, what do you have to tell me, Mr. Spider?
Somebody's handy.
Drawn to butterflies. Butterflies, for sure, it's about metamorphosis and change.
Transformation.
And, change can be uncomfortable. I'm sure it's not super comfortable for that butterfly, going from a caterpillar. And sometimes there's uncomfortable change, but we want to keep going with that. So, getting support from those around you. It's not a sign of weakness to call for help as you go through change. Thinking about those types of things. Okay, what the heck? Maybe you better find it.
Here, let me look.
Butterflies, guys, is also another one of the typical angel signs, but again, can show up in a lot of unusual numbers, unusual situations. They don't have to be real, though. You may see them all of a sudden, everywhere you look. They're on TV, they're in a newspaper ad, they're on an item of clothing, or whatever it is. We found the spider. So butterfly, can also be that message from your angels saying, hey, have you thought to ask for us for help in a while? Maybe you don't have to be doing this on your own. We can help you and support you. So think about that.
Dance of joy.
Butterfly, dance of joy. I find if we skip right to the final paragraph, sometimes it will kind of sum it up. Butterflies remind us to make changes when the opportunities present themselves. And transformation is inevitable, but butterfly will help teach you that growth and change does not always have to be traumatic. It will teach you that it can occur as gently and as sweetly, as joyfully as we wish. Like I said, it can be an easy transition. It doesn't have to be bumpy, right? If we will call on our support mechanisms, whether that's people in real life or your spiritual support team, which could mean your guides, your angels, the archangels, ascended masters, whoever you work with, right? Even deceased loved ones as well as part of your spiritual team. Peacock, I don't think peacock is in this book.
It may not be.
But that's a good one to look up on the internet, Mary, and double check what peacock is. And I have a cool peacock story if I can share that real quick. I know we've kind of gone over what we usually do, but it's a good topic. So I'll tell you what happened and what my interpretation of it was. Maybe you can kick in any other thoughts you have.
Sure.
So last week we were out in the mountains on holidays, and also one of the days while I was out there was the anniversary when my cousin Stephen lost his partner Chris in a very traumatic accident. That was 2 years ago. So on his 2-year anniversary, we were kind of coming back from town, driving into where our resort is, and there's some tall grass, and I saw something moving around in the tall grass, and I looked, and I kind of rubbed my eyes, and I looked again, and I said to my daughter who was in the car, I'm like, is that a peacock? And we're looking, we stop the car and we get out, and we're kind of following this thing around in the grass, and sure enough, it was this peacock. And I'm like, what the heck? We're in the mountains, the Rocky Mountains of British Columbia. Why would there be a peacock wandering around?
Yeah.
It was the weirdest thing ever. So I'm like, wow. And as soon as I saw that peacock, what brought to my mind was at Chris's memorial, we were all told to wear something fabulous because that's what he was all about. And the top that I wore was a top that I call my peacock top. Because it has those vibrant colors, it even has sequins. It's a very flashy top, right? Like a peacock is flashy. So I always call it my peacock top. So as soon as I saw this peacock, and I was thinking, every time I wear that top, I think of him now. And it was his anniversary. I put all the pieces together. I was like, oh my God, it's Chris. And then later that afternoon, I'm sitting in the condo, and I was reading something, and all of a sudden something just kind of made me go, and I looked up, there's bookshelves. I mean, we've had this place for however many years. I know what the decor in there is. And there's a sort of a floral kind of an arrangement. But I looked up and I realized that there's peacock feathers in this arrangement. And I've never really paid it any attention before. And I just, as soon as I looked up, I saw the feathers. And I was like, oh my God! It's There's again, right? So for me, my interpretation of that was more of like a visitation or like just a message of confirmation that, hey, I'm around, I'm, not seeing what's going on and hi kind of thing. So, but I should probably go and look up additional messages on Peacock to see what else might be there for you or for me. And so, Mary, that's something that you can do too, is just go online and Google that and see what pops up. But again, take it a step further. Whatever you're reading, see how that sits with you, and maybe it conjures up something else, or the colors mean something, or that kind of stuff. Right.
Yeah, that's what I recommend. And if you really get an interest in it, you may want to discover what your whole wheel is. We have in Shamanic Reiki, we also have another wheel of animals as well.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I have a whole zoo. I like to work
a menagerie.
A menagerie of animals. Yes.
That's so cool. That's really cool. Yeah. So any more questions? We have a couple more minutes. Carell's being so generous with her time here, and thank you for that.
No problem.
We're happy to answer a couple questions. If you guys are watching this on the replay and you missed this live, but you have a specific question that didn't get directly answered, you can type in your question. Carell has generously offered to come back on the page later and scroll through the feed, and if she sees questions there that we haven't addressed, she'll type in an answer for you guys so that you can get your questions answered. Thanks guys for the hearts. Thank you.
That's lovely.
And so that way you're not missing out if you're catching this on the replay. What else did I want to mention? There was something else and it came and it went, and now I don't know. But anyway, it may come back. But I hope you guys found this helpful. It looks like you did, because we're seeing the hearts and everything. So thank you. If you would like to get in touch with Carell and learn more from this amazing package of wisdom that's sitting right next to me, when her energy feels great, by the way, I'm just like soaking it in. I'm like, how can people get in touch with you and learn more?
Yes, they can give me an email, like go to my website. As well, there's information there. It's www.kilifestyle.ca.
I'm going to type that in as you see
it. And then my email address is carell@kilifestyle.ca. Just CARELL.
Yeah.
And my phone number on my mobile is 403-830-7053. And I'd be happy to.
I hope you don't get spam now, because I'm putting it in the world of...
It's totally fine. Okay. I'm showing up.
Yes, you are. Okay.
Yes.
So there's all the information, guys. Like I said, Carell's awesome about all this stuff, anything to do with Reiki, and her assertiveness mastery program is masterful. Let me just tell you, if you have issues around all of that stuff that I said earlier, which is kind of like dealing with like the workplace bullies and,
getting unstuck in your life, getting moving. I just starting to develop the AMP 3, which people are asking they want more. So there's AMP 1, 2, now 3.
So you can grow. Grow and progress.
Yeah.
And, get that power back. Because I find in workplaces especially, there's a lot of, it is bullying that goes on, and people tend to diminish in power and feel like they're powerless. And it's very sad that people are, stuck in those situations because of the paycheck, and they're not happy. And I've seen what that does. And I was one of those people at one time.
Too.
Like I said, I needed that back in the day. Yeah. So I think it's an amazing thing that you've put that together to help people. All right, guys, so we're going to wrap it up. I just want to thank you all for being here today. This was a lot of fun. And if there's other topics that you want some information on that I might not be expert at, please share with me, because I'd love to be doing more of this and bringing in an expert guest, sharing their expertise, to help. Yeah,
there's lots of people that would love to share their expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to showcase them in their work like we've done here with you, because we need to get you out in the world more and more, and people getting the help that you're here to provide. So Thank you so much. And
Yes.
if this was helpful to you, share the replay as well. Click share. Let's not keep it in the closet. Let's open that wide up and get this out to people who are interested and can benefit from this information today. So thank you all for sharing your time here with us. Make sure you're back here next Tuesday for another episode of Takeaway Tip Tuesday. That one will be at the regular time, 11:30 Mountain Time, which is 1:30 Eastern. And have a great day, everybody.
Yeah. Bye.
See you.